Good morning, folks. I'm really endeavoring to do an update every day, even if it's just short. I have a new content manager now, so I've got a little bit more time. And even if there's not a lot to update, there is today, in fact, there's a little bit of information. Some good news, really. We had some excellent trades yesterday. I'd encourage you to look at yesterday's video and the one before that. I covered natural gas and some of the other instruments that we're trading. These are the currencies, and we're looking at the euro, the pound, and the dollar yen. And we're long on the euro, long on the pound, and short on the dollar yen. We actually took another long position on the pound last night, just around about that lower Bollinger Band. So that's looking okay, more or less at break even on both of these. And with a bit of luck, this will carry on moving up. The dollar index has reached its resistance level. This is the key story of the day. Massive rally, unsustainable for that speed and time, right up to the underside of that channel, exactly where I thought it might turn around. And it has done so far. We've got a little bit of an engulfing pattern perhaps forming today. And this is a really key level, as you can see. It's the underside of this very long-term channel. And I think at least the dollar needs to pull back a little bit. If it's not going all the way down to the bottom, it probably just needs a retrace down to the 20-period moving average or the 50, or this big red block in the middle here around about 102.80. So anyway, we're in the right direction on the currencies, and that's good news. And then stocks, we were short US 30 and the German 40. Yesterday, right at the bottom, we took profit on those, but we retained a short on the NASDAQ and the S&P. So let's see how it goes. Those have rallied up a little bit today, and probably because of Tesla. We're long on Tesla. You can see our entry point down there at about 212. We had a big gap up last night, overnight, after Tesla earnings, coming with a surprise to the upside on earnings, but to the downside on revenue. However, the market took this as good news and rallied about $30 per share. Really good for us because we're long on that right from the bottom of Tesla. And that's all I'm going to say about stocks. I'm trying to get through this super fast. We took our profit on the gold shorts yesterday. We're out of gold, no trades on that whatsoever. We're still long on Bitcoin, having added down there at the 20-period moving average on the 4-hour. And it's also the 20-period moving average on the day chart. So it was likely to bounce there. It's also the top of this triangle that we broke out of. So there's the breakout, pullback, perfect technical trade. And we add a little bit more there. So we've got all sorts of long positions on Bitcoin. We've been taking a little bit of profit at the top, adding back on, that sort of thing, building up a really nice, good position here. This looks like a rounded bottom forming, not dissimilar to what we've seen on a few other things recently. And perhaps we can get a bit of a lift off on there. We've got a similar thing on platinum, actually. And although we're not long on gold, we are long on platinum from that green arrow, around about $960. And we've also got a rounded bottom here. So platinum and Bitcoin making these beautiful rounded bottoms. One of my clients or my members said they really like rounded bottoms, not so much rounded tops. Preferences are preferences. This is what we want right now. Rounded bottom on platinum, rounding bottom perhaps forming on Bitcoin. So that looks pretty good on the metals. Unfortunately, we're not in gold, but I think we may top out on that soon. I'm not too worried about that, not getting FOMO. And then natural gas, big rally a few hours ago, massive rally. There's the rollover gap on the futures, rolling over earlier black bull markets in my broker. Look at that massive contango gap from 238 now at 294. Let's switch this to the Henry Hub. So here's the Henry Hub on the NYMEX on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at the day chart. This doesn't roll over until next week. Here's the date here, Tuesday the 29th. That's early next week, rolling from the November to the December contract. I wanted to show you the futures stack here at barchart.com, but they'll be right back. So back to the chart. So bear in mind that that takes us right up to just below the $3 level. However, we haven't seen it yet on the futures on the Henry Hub because we haven't rolled over. We've seen it at Black Bull moving up to 2.94. Just to remind you, here's the day chart on Black Bull rolling over to 2.95. So that's the December contract. Of course, we don't benefit from this rollover gap in contango, but I'm trading this mainly on the spot at the moment because of the rollover coming up. And this is the spot price at Pepperstone on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at the day chart. And just moving up beautifully from that 200-period moving average on this continuous price and probing up above the 50 and the 100-period moving averages. That's the 200 down there. So we held this order block and the 200 and now probing higher. And as we approach Tuesday, the rollover date on the Henry Hub, I'm hoping that this will move up rather than down and that will roll further up into the higher price contracts rather than the lower price. Apart from variable weather and hurricanes and that sort of thing in the US, generally the broader and larger picture and perhaps slightly longer term is quite bullish for natural gas, particularly if new LNG export terminals are opened from next year onwards and that moratorium is lifted. There could be a lot more business going on in natural gas. Whether that will push the prices up in the longer term or down remains to be seen. It's the old energy OPEC price dance thing that might go on with natural gas. We'll have to watch that closely. So I'm hoping for the spot price to move up in concert with the Henry Hub. And I don't have anything on Henry Hub right now, pending the rollover and on the futures on Tuesday. So we'll get back into the futures market from Tuesday onwards. This one I'm hoping will catch up and that we don't slump back down again. We're also still short on WTI. That hasn't moved for 3 days, so I'm not going to speak about that. Have a look at the last video. And on URA, on UEC, we took some profit at the top there, just waiting for further dips to buy back into the uranium twins. And then going across to Rand, really nothing's happened for a few days. Rand against the dollar, Rand against the pound. Generally looking to short. And once again, I'll refer you to the last video, which talks about us shorting somewhere up here at around 18.2 to 18.3. And then finally, we're long on the VIX from, at 16 or so. We're at 20 now. And we're also long on TLT. A little bit of a gap up today, slumping quite dramatically. But I think this will pick up. And we're near the support level down here. So I'm not worried about that whatsoever. Looking for a big move up on TLT in time to come. I've got a path drawn in here. And that would take us all the way up to about 120 on this chart. Pause this video and check this out when you've got some time, and you can decide whether you want to get into this and what sort of price level you're happy with. And then going across to cocoa, the softs and the grains, we're still short on cocoa. Fantastic profit on that. Favorite trade so far, or most profitable. We're long on soya. You can see all of our arrows and our positions. The 2 red arrows on cocoa, 2 positions there. 1 position on soya, 1 position on wheat, and 1 position on cotton. And I'll emphasize once again, cotton is probably my favorite chart with this pivotal level at the red line. And I sort of covered that in more detail in the last video. Have a great trading day. What's left of this week is going to be pretty exciting. Next week leads up into, it's the final sort of week before the elections, leading up into that election weekend. So it's going to be quite some occasion. Be careful with your trade positions. Don't oversize. Rather stay out if you're in doubt. Take care.
Niggas gonna fly, make your wallet slip. Hustling hard in the futures game. Bulls on parade, never feeling shame. Ride it to the moon, cash overflow. Don't be a baboon, winner steal the show. Buy net is now, stack it, don't slack. Winners know just how, stay ahead of the pack. From the pit to the screen, fetch that green. Be the natural gas king, market machine. Feeling the pulsation, the 80s beat. Charts blowing up, can't take the heat. Ticker symbols flash, cash on repeat. Rhythm of the trade, swift and neat. Market machine. Market machine. Natural gas pumping, profits jumping. Trade it high, in the dough you're dumping. Storage reports close, excitement's thick. Niggas gonna fly, make your wallet slip. Hustling hard in the futures game.